Hello and welcome back, guys. So in this tutorial is going to be about the swim system, and let's go for it. So as you can see, I've already created this pool, sort of like an aquarium for this tutorial. So I have water here. I don't know how to create water as realistic as possible, but this is what I got to create. This is basically a square. I just added some materials to make it look like water, but it's really not. And then when you go under it, then you have this effect of underwater. I used post-processing to fill this box here. So this box here is fitted into the square. So that's why I have this effect. So when I go under, then the post-process is active. Then you have this effect, like the character is underwater. Just to say that the character is underwater. So let's go for our third-person character here. I have added some comments, as always. I have comments for the event seek. I just have the event seek node here. And I have added some comments here to... I'm going to be explaining you later how it's going to work, how everything is going to work. So you don't need to worry about this. So I'm just showing what I have on my character blueprint before I can begin the tutorial. So here I have my movement input. I'm going to be teaching you guys how you can create an input axis from scratch. So I think it's going to depend on which Unreal Engine 5 version you have, but we're going to talk about that later. And here I have, on the jump input, I have the variable called isJumping, because I need to know when the character is jumping for me to play a specific animation of him jumping. And here on the sprint, I have added a max fly speed to 400, and the max fly speed, when I release the left shift, I want to set the max fly speed to 233. So you can just add this by dragging off of this character movement here, and you're gonna type set max fly speed, and then hit enter, and then you're gonna get this input value here for you to be placing the value here. Now what I want to do, I want to show you what I have on my character animation blueprint. I have added some sound effects here. I'm going to be teaching you later how you can do that as well. And I have cast it to my third-person character, as always. Here on the character references, I have the isJumping variable. So all you need to do is just get a isValid node like this. You're gonna get isValid node. You're gonna get the variable that you just promoted here. You're going to add drag and drop there, place it to input object, and then you're going to drag off this and get isJumping. You're gonna do the same process for getting the other variables. So for example, if I want to get a let's drag this to there. Let's say, for example, I want to get the variable called isSwimming. And then I'm going to go back there. I'm going to drag off this third-person character. I'm going to get, and I'm going to type here isSwimming. So I'm going to get this variable here. And I can get as many as the other ones, as many as I want. And that's very cool. We're going to use this a lot. And back to the animation graph, all I have is this. My default locomotion, walk, run, jump, etc. And yeah, so that's it. Let's go for the tutorial. So firstly, I'm going to just delete some variables that I've let in here, because I'm going to start the tutorial from scratch. But if you want, you can create them. So here I have my character. I have added, I have some problems with this character. It's sliding too much. Yeah, the first thing I want to fix is the character sliding. I think that's because of the breaking fiction on walking. So let's go there. Let's click here on the character movement and type here walk deceleration. It's 2 now. I think I've changed it, but you can type 1,500. Play on editor. Yes, there we go. So you have that issue, you know how to fix it now. Yeah, there we go. Now, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to check if the character is underwater or not, if the character just reached the water. So how are we going to know that? Well, basically we have a physics volume here. This physics volume is responsible for simulating the water fluid. So it has some sort of effects that it can simulate water, the physics of the water. And if I go down here, my character is going to slowly slow down. It has like a smooth fall. It's going to simulate the fluid of the water. So the settings that I chose for this physics volume, yeah, is if you go to on details, you're going to see that the terminal velocity, I chose it to be 271. The fluid friction is going to be 4, and the water volume has to be checked on. That's all you need. Now going back, how are we going to know that the character just jumped into the water? Then we're going to go to a third-person character and get physics volume. You're going to get the character movement like this. Once you get the display name, and let's just do an example here. Let's print a string and let's see if it's working. So if the character just joined this huge box that I've added here, then this display name is going to change. So let's see it working. So here, as you can see, it's written default physics volume. So when I jump and get in contact with the physics volume, then as you can see here, it's written as physics volume. I get the physics volume message here. So that's when we know that the physics volume is, so we're going to use this physics volume value as for using, so we're going to use this information for knowing when the character has contacted the water, has contact with the water. So what I want to do, I want to drag off the return value of the get display name node, and I want to add an equal. Actually, there is another node that is called equal name or equal exactly string. And I'm gonna type here physics, the same name that we got there. It's called physics volume. So you're going to type exactly this name, physics volume. And if the string matches with this string that I typed here, then this value is going to be true. Now what I want to do, I want to get this Boolean return value here, and whenever this matches, then it's going to be true. That's when we're going to know that the character is underwater. So when I press play here, as you can see, it's false. When I get in touch with the water, it's true. So that's when we know that the character is underwater. So okay, let's delete all this and promote this to a variable, and let's call this is underwater. That's going to be our Boolean name. I want to drag off this event seek. I want to create a sequence because I want to add other codes here. I'm going to drag this. I'm going to drag off this then one, and I'm going to promote this. And I'm going to connect this to the variable here. All right. So if the character is underwater, then I'm going to get a branch. And as soon as the character gets in contact with the water, then I'm going to do once. And I want to play a sound effect. But firstly, I want to set the movement mode to flying. To be flying. And I'm going to create a new variable called is swimming question mark. I think I already have this variable here. So I'm just going to drag and drop it and set it to be true. Now I'm going to play a sound effect, play sound 2D. And here on the sound, I'm going to type splash, small 3, and also this one right here. It's called A to underwater. And all these project files are going to be down in the description below, are going to be on my Patreon page. So if you're not a member, get it now. So now let's see if it's working. There we go. All right, let's focus on creating a dive up and down. Right now, when we play our game and we jump into the water, we cannot control the character up and down directions. So let's create a new input axis for us to be able to dive up and down. So what I want to do, I want to go to the edit and let's go to the project settings. And here down to here in the engine, in the input, we're going to click on here. And as you can see here, we have our axis mappings. This is by default, set it by the engine. What I want to do, I want to add a new axis map. And the key is going to be Q for going up. And I want to add another one here. And I'm going to choose E for going down. Actually, I'm going to choose the Q for going down. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to scale here and type -1. So that means that we're going to go down. And here on the new axis mapping, we're going to choose the name of our axis mapping. So it's going to be dive up slash down. Hit enter. Then we're going to go back to our third person character and type here dive up down. And here in the axis events, we're going to choose this first one here. As you can see, we have an axis value. If you press Q, we're going to get the axis value to be -1. If you press E, then we're going to get the +1, as we set in here. All right, I want to create a new float variable. I want to create a new float variable called dive up down. And here in the boolean, we're going to change it to float and drag and drop it and set it. Now we're going to copy the control rotation and also the add movement input to here. And out of X row, we're going to get up vector. Get up vector. Split this in rotation. And X goes to here and Z goes to Z. And we're going to pin this to the Y direction and drive up down to the scale value. So this is going to, these controls here are going to connect to control the character to be up and down. So let's test it out. Let's hit on play. And when you press Q and E, it works. That's very cool. But the problem is that I have the possibility to have my character up too much up, leaving the water. I don't want that. So for fixing that, I'm going to create a new variable called fix character on surface. And I also want to create a boolean fix character on character surface. I'm going to change this value to a boolean, and I'm going to drag and drop it. Get this should be on a branch. Drag off from the then 0, connect that to there. Get another branch. And now here on the E, I'm going to drag and drop the fixed character surface, duplicate it, add it to the Q, the E, and I want to take this on. So whenever we go up, then this fixed character surface is going to be ticked on. That means that we're going to put a limit to the character so he cannot go further up, living out of the water. Okay. So let's check if the character is underwater. Let's drag and drop here, the water, and let's get the capsule component. Get world location. Split this. And I'm going to drag and drop the fixed character on surface. This is actually saving the Z cache, so I'm going to name this, I don't know, save Z cache, and connect this to here. So it's going to save the location of the character on the Z-axis. It's going to save the last one. And for fixing the character, for setting the limit for the character to be not be able to go up or either down, we're going to set world location of the capsule component here. And we're going to split this. I don't want to change the X, so they're going to remain the same. So what I want to do, I want to get the return value, which is going to be remaining the same. And here on true, it's going to be here. On the false, it's going to be there. And I want to add a +2 here. So this is going to prevent some bugs that I had before. And that's going to be it. So the get world location is going to get the world location of the capsule component, and it's going to save this. If the character is underwater, it's going to save the current location of the capsule component, which is the capsule of the character, and it's going to add a little bit higher. It's going to put the character a little bit higher, so we avoid getting bugs. And if the character is not underwater, then this false is going to be executed, which is prevent the character from going up, further up. And yeah, so when you press the Q to go down, then this fixed character surface is going to be ticked off. It's going to be disabled. That means that we're not going to get anything from here. Then we're going to allow the character movement to be controlled again. So we're not going to have this limitation of the character from prohibiting him to go down, neither up. So, okay, I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's jump into the water and go up. As you can see, I'm pressing up. Oh, my character disappears. Okay, let me see what happened. It's not add world offset, it's add set world location. And the target is going to be capsule component. So let's split the structure pane again. Get the location of the XY, which is going to be remaining the same. And the new location Z is going to be here. So let's compile, save. And let's try now. So I'm pressing up. Let's see what happens. And when I press E and hold it, then my character is not going to be further up anymore. So that's the height I want. If this is not the height that you want, maybe you can get the water to be a little bit up and then try again. Or you can raise and decrease the height of the physics volume. So I think this is the height I want. All right. So the next thing I want to do, I want to set movement mode to be flying, because just to prevent any issues, and you can swim on the surface as well. So this code is going to allow us to swim on the surface without any problems, because if I didn't have this code, the character would be underwater like this. So if you want, you can collapse all this to a node and call this fixed character to swim on the surface, something like that. So now let's set up our animation blueprint. Out of this BP third person character, I want to get is swimming. Promote it to a variable. Now I want to get the turn right, left camera. Yeah, I have to create a variable still. I want to get is underwater. And also get the dive up down float variable. I want to do something here on the camera input mouse, not the gamepad. Here on the axis value, I'm going to right click on it and promote it to a variable. And I'm going to name this axis value to be turn right left camera. So this axis value is responsible for rotating the camera left and right, as you can see here. And this one is for rotating up and down. So whenever you move your mouse up and down, it has this axis value gives you a value between -1 and +1. I'm going to show you how that looks like. So I'm going to drag and drop out of this, connect it to here. So let's just compile, save, and I want to show you what I mean. So as you can see, depending on how fast you move your mouse, then you're going to get this. So if I move left, I get negative. I try to get -1, but it passes a little bit. The values gets more. I don't know how to say that. I even get -2. So depending on how fast you turn your mouse, you're going to get positive or negative ones. So going back to the person character, I want to use this value for using it for blend spaces. So when I'm swimming, I want the character to turn a little bit to the right and the left, depending on the direction of the mouse and how fast you move your mouse. So that's a very useful value for that, for setting up the blend space. And that's going to be it. So let's compile, save, and let's get this value there. Turn right, left camera. So out of this, I'm going to get turn left, right camera. All right, so let's set up our state machine. I'm going to right click and type state, use state machine, and call the state machine to be swim local motion. And then check off this and blend bound by blend bool. Blend pulses by bool. The true blend time is going to be 0.5. I want to get more smooth animations as we are swimming. And the false blend time is going to be 3. The default locomotion is going to be here. And the active value we're going to drag and drop is swimming. And that's perfect. Now we're going to go to the state machine of swim locomotion. The first one is going to be idle. So let's type here surface, let's type here idle, swim surface idle. Drag and drop it. And let's connect the entry. And that's how our character is going to be on the surface and also underwater. Now let's test if it's working. Let's test to see if it's working. So as soon as I join underwater, as you can see, my character is kind of swimming. That's very cool. I think the water is a little bit up, so I'm going to decrease it, decrease the height. Let's try again. Yeah, too much down. A little bit. All right. Going back to our states. I want to drag and drop the blend space called swim surface slow. I want to be able to move slow into the surface of the water. So I'm going to drag and drop the swim surface idle to this and back. Forward. Swim surface slow. Now double click on this blend space here. I'm not gonna be teaching you guys how you can create it from scratch, because that's going to take me a lot of time to do all those blend spaces here. But if you want to watch how you can create a blend space from scratch, from zero, you can watch my tutorial I'm going to drop in the description below. And what I've done here, you can create the same thing. This is a blend space 1D, and I have animations here. These dots represent one animation, and the transition between is going to be blended. So this animation here and this animation here, depending on the value, they are going to be blended together, and it's going to have a nice smooth blend pose between the poses, between the animation poses. As you can see here, I have my character moving forward, and here I have my character moving left. So we can blend between those transitions. The weight speed I chose to be 2, and smoothing checked on. On the horizontal axis, you can name here to be a horizontal or whatever, it's optional. Horizontal axis, and minimal axis is going to be -1, +1. And grid division is 2. And that's everything you gotta do in here. So make sure you drag and drop the correct animation assets. Remember that all these animation assets are going to be down in the description below. It's going to be on my Patreon page. I have the forward. This is the forward animation. This is the left, forward left, and this is the forward right. Now I want to drag and drop the horizontal axis into the turn right to left camera. Compile, save, and let's test it out. But before that, I want to add a transition rule. A transition rule is some math that is going to be used for transitioning between animation states. So for example, this animation idle here is going to so from us to go from the animation surface idle to go to the surface slow, we need to be moving. So for knowing the character movement speed, the velocity of the character, we're going to get out of velocity, we're going to get the vector length. So by doing that, we're going to know the exact speed that the character is moving. And we're going to promote this return variable to a variable, and it's going to be called overall speed. So this is the ground speed. The vector length xy gets the ground speed, and the vector length gets the x, y, and z, which that means that we're going to get the fly speed of the character. And we're going to connect this to here. Don't forget that. Compile. And that's how you get the overall speed of the character. Now, going back to the same surface, we're going to get the overall speed. Get it. And if the overall speed is greater or equal than 110, then we're going to go from the transition to idle to be moving, just to be swimming on the surface and slow. Now, from going back, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to get the overall speed and get less or equal than 100, then plug the Boolean result there. Compile, save. And now we're going to test it out to see if it's working. Let's see. All right. Here I have my auto animation being played. So when I move, as you can see, my character moves as well. And I also have the rotation of the character as well, as soon as I rotate my camera. So that's very cool. So here, for a more smooth transition as we are in the water, we're going to click on this transition here. And here on the duration, this is the duration that it takes to successfully blend 100% between the two transitions. I'm going to type .85, and that's the time that it's going to take for blending between the two transitions. So it's going to take almost less than a second, .85 milliseconds. And from going to idle to swim, we're going to type .45 milliseconds. And that way we can get more smooth transitions. And now I want to swim fast. I want to get the blend space to swim faster. Then I'm going to use this. This is the blend space for us to be swimming on the surface of the water and fast. So again, this is a blend space 1D. I guess it's 1D. Let me check. Yeah, blend space 1D. And here on the horizontal axis, you can let it empty. You don't need that. The minimum axis value is going to be -1, positive. Grid diffusion is 2. Smoothing type. You don't need to worry about this, but I chose it to be .2. And here on the weight speed, I chose it to be 3, and smoothing checked on. And here I have my swim surface forward. Now this is left and this is right. And there's nothing much special about this. So let's go back to our animation blueprint. And I'm going to drag and drop this here. This is going to be swim surface fast. Double click on this. and drag and drop the turn right to left corner, the camera. Turn right left camera. And I'm going to drag out of this to here, connect the transition rules. And here I'm going to drag and drop the overall speed and get the less or equal than 244. And going back to the surface low to the surface fast, swim surface fast. I'm going to drag and drop the overall speed. And say if it's greater or equal than 244. Then we can get a and boolean here. Get the underwater. Check if the character is underwater. And if it's not underwater, then we're going to be able to swim fast on the surface of the water if the character is not underwater. So if you want to preview to show the overall speed, you can. If you want to see the what is the current overall speed of the character, you can just print a string here and plug this to in string. And if you press on play here, as you can see, I get 0. As soon as I move my character, I get 210. And as well as when I'm jumping, I get a specific value. If I go up, I get 233. If I go down, I get also 233. And also you have to set on the character movement, go to type here on the search bar, fly. And the braking deceleration flying, it should be 333. And acceleration, I think it didn't change much. I think it's 1000 by default. So you can check that on yours as well. And also I modified the gravity scale to be 1. So here it is, 1. So here it is 1. You can change that to yours as well. If it fits on your game project, if it fits on your game project, what? Yeah, if it fits in your game, yeah. So now what we want to do, let's check the blend duration. This one is going to be .65 and this one is going to be .75. Now I want to swim underwater, and this one is a 4 directional sides, I guess. This is a different blend space, it's not 1D anymore, so how you can create one. So you can go to animation and blend space. You're going to be choosing this one for creating this animation blend space here. And after you create your animation blend space, you're going to have this screen here, this layout. And you're going to drag and drop your animations here. The first on the middle is going to be swim underwater forward, which is this one. And this swim underwater forward up is going to be this one. And the swim underwater forward down is going to be this one. Swim underwater forward right and the left. And here on the horizontal axis, it's going to be -1 on the minimal, +1. And on the vertical is going to be the same thing. And just here, pay attention to the smoothing time. I chose it to be 1 because I want to have a more smooth blend between going up and down like this. And here on the weight speed, it should be 2.3 and the smoothing checked on. All right. So I'm just going to drag and drop the swim underwater fast. Blend space. And I'm going to drag and drop our turn right to left camera float variable to be plugged into the horizontal axis, and the drive up down to the vertical. So when you press the E, the character is going to go up, then the character is going to be here. So the character is going to be on this pose when he's diving up. When I press Q, the character is going to be on this position. It's very simple. And here in the swim surface fast, I'm going to drag off this to here. Let's set the duration already. It's going to be 0.5. And here on the condition state, we're going to drag and drop our dive up down. And if it equals to -1, then that means that our character is diving down. Then we can go to our swim underwater. So let's say, for example, the character is just on the surface of the water, and when you press Q, you want the character to dive down into the water, right? Under the water. So that's why I did this. So when I press Q, I want my character to dive down, which is going to set the value, the axis value, to be -1. And if that happens, then I want the character to be swimming underwater. I want to connect this to here. And this one, the duration, the blend time duration is going to be 0.75. And let's double click on that. And we're going to drag and drop the underwater. Is underwater here. Drag off this and say, if it's not underwater, and get the overall speed. And let's say if it's less or equal than 233, we're going to drag up and say, put it to end. So if the overall speed is less than 233 and the character is underwater and the drive up down axis is equal to 1 or equal to -1 or equal to -1 here. And it's not equal to neither positive or -1. Then we can set this. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. So you can just follow up. Okay, so if the character is not underwater, then this is going to be true. Or the overall speed is less than 233. The character is underwater, and the drive up down. This is just some accession. This is just for improving the character, improving the code more, so we can have a more sophisticated code. Yeah, so that's going to be it. And let's put the transition to surface low to swim under fast, so swim underwater fast. And drag and drop the drive up down. And if it's equal, then 1, or it's equal to -1. And is underwater. Or the overall speed is greater or equal than 240. Then we can enter the transition. And the duration is going to be .5. Now let's drag off swim underwater fast, just so means surface idle. And if the overall speed is equal to 0, that means that our character is not going to be moving. Then we can enter the transition to idle. On here, I can set this to be here. The duration is going to be .5. And here is .8. All right, so I guess that's going to be it. Let's test it out. So now I can swim on the water. If I'm standing still, I'm not moving anything. My character stays on the idle pose. If I move just like this, my character is going to swim slow. This is the swim slow state, locomotion. And when I press the shift and hold it, then my character moves a little bit faster. Now if my character is standing still and I press the E to move up, then my character is going to swim to dive up. And if I press the Q, then my character is going to swim down to dive down. So let's swim until we reach the surface of the water. As you can see, with all the states are connected and working all together. So I can swim on the surface as well. Dive. So that's going to be it for the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you in the next one.